Hello and welcome to the Ren Den. I'm Ren, this is the Den, and today we're going to talk about the Textile Festival in Manchester. So it was a couple of weeks ago now, but I'm trying not to post faster than my 2-week schedule this year so I don't get like too overwhelmed and I kind of keep myself a reasonable buffer. So I hope you feel this is worth the wait. So this was the first year of the Textile Festival. It was at Manchester Central, which used to be called something else. I got the sense there was like goss about that, but I haven't Googled it, so I don't know. But it was a really lovely venue. It was like, you know, high ceilings, wide aisles, which was really nice. And yeah, I think they pulled it off really well for a first year. I think there's definitely some teething problems. Like, we all know my bugbear is selling too many tickets. And I think probably they could have sold more tickets. I think the issue was everybody turned up at once on the morning of the Saturday. I mean, we only went on the Saturday, we didn't go on the Sunday, so I don't know if this was also the problem on the Sunday. But on the Saturday, the first half an hour was lovely, and then it was rammed from like 10:30 till 1:30, like 1:30, when we left to go and get some lunch. Like, to the point where we were starting to like walk past stalls because we just couldn't be bothered to like queue for 5 minutes to get into the place. It wasn't as bad as year one of Musical Con in London. Was much worse, to the point where you'd actually get stuck in aisles. Like, you could always move through, but it was kind of a little bit of a bun fight sort of here and there. And then when we came back after lunch, it was so much quieter, and there were still like people, but it was just a really nice level of, you could chat to the vendors, you could ask people about stuff, you didn't constantly feel like you're in the way of everything. So yeah, I wonder if they should do like an early opening tickets, or like split the morning and afternoon tickets up to try and kind of even people out a little bit, because it did feel like there was plenty of time if there was enough space. And I think also they suffered slightly from being the same weekend as the Creative Craft Show at the NEC in Birmingham, because I think a lot of the bigger, like the Quilted Bear would have been there. What's that nice fabric shop called? Fabric Atelier would have been at the NEC probably. And like, so it was kind of, maybe, I haven't actually crunched the numbers on this, but it felt like about sort of 40% yarn and then a little bit of everything else. So it was a kind of quite yarn heavy show, and I got the sense that they wanted it to be more kind of general textiles, but maybe if they have more control over the dates next year, they can make sure they're not clashing with the NEC, and then maybe get some of those people to come over, which would be fun. But yeah, I really hope they manage to do it again next year. It was really good fun. We went with a friend and we just had a lovely day. So without further ado, let's get into what I got. So the first stall I bought from was Kate's Cloths, who was selling, I don't really know how to describe it, like small twists of beautiful fabric and yarn. I haven't actually looked up, I've got the book in here somewhere, but I'm not going to read out like the shop's pictures for what they are, because that's just too much flipping backwards and forwards. What I got from Kate's Cloths were these two gorgeous twists of sari silk. So these I think are 5 meters each, hand dyed. And I also got these kind of matching, you see that? Twists of, these are cotton. Now it says yarn on the label. I would call this pearl cotton, like thread, but hand painted and just absolutely stunning kind of ocean colors, because I've got a little bit of a sort of ocean collage project planned for the Zelda jacket, for the back of the Zelda jacket, and those just struck me as being absolutely perfect materials for that. So I bought them on a little bit of a punt because I haven't kind of blocked that plan of that project out yet, but there's definitely a direction that I plan to use them in, and then we'll see if that's what ends up happening. But yeah, absolutely gorgeous. And like, there was just like baskets and baskets and baskets of this stuff. Like, the variety, the colors were so vibrant, absolutely gorgeous. The next place I bought from was Dilution. So they do, it's like an indie dye, like a hand dyed stall. But what I got from them was this button kit, which, so you basically, there's looms involved and there's these rings involved, and you make buttons out of this thread. And I don't really know, I haven't even opened this bag. I don't really know anything else about it other than that. But I thought it would be such a cool, like the designs on the bag. Let's see if I can show you. You see that? Just look really gorgeous and like varied, and it's a thing I haven't tried, but I've kind of looked at a couple times, so I thought I would take the opportunity to pick up this kit. And I love a loom and I love a small thing. So the next thing I picked up was actually a freebie because my partner bought some yarn from Attic Spin Dye. I didn't, mostly because I had bought yarn from Attic Spin Dye like a month ago. I still haven't used it because it's only been a month. So I'm trying to pace myself a little bit with yarn. But because my partner was buying yarn, they do this thing where they will give you a free pattern when you buy yarn. So I got this stained glass cowl. I'm going to try not to show you the actual pattern, just the picture, because even though it's a freebie, like it was obviously, it's their pattern, I would assume. So yeah, it's just this really nice like 3D kind of hexagonal thing that I've seen in a few places, and this is a cowl, so it's basically a tube. So I figured this would be a great way to learn how to do this texture, and then I can always, like, I'm sort of envisaging it being like cuffs on a jumper or something, and just it being like a sort of a moment of design. But I thought it would be a really cool sort of type of stitch to learn. The first instruction is cast on 120 stitches in German twisted cast on, and I don't know what that is. So this is going to be a bit of a learning adventure, but I'm looking forward to it. The next thing I got, now you might have seen a picture of this in my video from the Northwest Winter Wool Festival like a month ago, which is this absolutely gorgeous cushion. Now the reason why the colours are so nice is because they use this kind of stone wash effect yarn, which I didn't buy any of because I want to sort of have a play with this idea. But yeah, this was only £3, which was really good value. This was from the Cotton Pod, in case I didn't say that. And yeah, I saw the cushion again this at the Manchester Textile Festival, like from across the aisle, and I was like, okay, I have to have some way of like making that, and I didn't realize last time that they had a pattern for it. I think I maybe wasn't paying attention. So yeah, picked that up, so quite pleased with that. And then next I stopped at a little light stitchery and got this absolutely enormous 12-inch embroidery hoop, because I am doing the Little Light Stitchery's year in embroidery this year. Let me get it. Which is this, which, as you can see, is not really, so this is a hoop I had, and the hoop is a little bit small for, like, it's okay for doing the squares, but I think for displaying it, it's not the right size hoop. So I wanted to get the right size hoop, and Nikki was obviously selling them because they're part of the like full kit. Quite pleased to have that. I'm going to transfer it at some point, maybe when there's actual space on my desk. Once again, it's an absolute tip in here. Part of the motivation for filming this video so soon, not just because then I'll remember where I got everything, but also then I will be able to tidy up a little bit and have floor, like there's literal like cardboard scraps on the floor down here because I was in the middle of doing something. Anyway, so yeah, very pleased to have this absolutely enormous hoop, which at some point will probably go on this wall somewhere, I would imagine, once I've finished the year in embroidery. I'm still more or less up to date with it. I'm a little bit behind, but not like meaningfully so. So yeah, I'm hoping I will finish that. And then we stopped at Yarn Unique and I bought this absolutely delicious skein of wool. It's called Aurora 2. It is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon in DK. Now, most of the indie dye stuff that I buy is in sock because A of all, there is more of it in sock, and B of all, I have more sock related projects and patterns. And worst comes to worst, I can just make socks out of it if I turn out to not have a plan. This I have a plan for. It's kind of, it looks bluer on the screen than it does in real life. This is a very kind of bright green. My plan is I want to do a tapestry of the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom logo, and I've been looking for like the perfect yarn to do that in. I think this isn't quite it, but it is pretty close. It'll be interesting to see how it crochets up, see what the kind of color balances are, but I think it's close enough that it will read as the logo. So yeah, very pleased with that. Yarn Unique always have really good color ranges. Next, we stopped at the knitting gift shop. Now, I nearly didn't stop there because it was so busy, but I was kind of on the hunt for patterns because I've got a lot of yarn now. And I wanted patterns to be able to do things with it. So I saw this collection of hand warmers and glove patterns, because some of them have fingers, some of them don't, some of them have colour work, and I thought it was a really good kind of set of mix and match patterns to make a bunch of mittens. And I thought that would be fun and great for presents as well, because they're going to work up faster than socks because you don't have to do heel turns and they're not long and that sort of thing. And as I was queuing to pay for that, there was this like sort of lavender knitted waistcoat on a like mannequin as a display of a demonstration of the pattern knitted up, and I was like, that's nice. It's not really my vibe. And then as I was queuing, I overheard my partner go, you know, if that was in a deep green, I could really see Ren wearing it. And I was like, you're right, I must. So I bought the pattern. So this is it in the lavender. It's got this really nice sort of bottom edge, and it's just a really nice shape. Obviously I'm going to have to do some messing about with sizing probably, but yeah, I just really liked it. I don't know what they've knitted it up in because it had a really nice drape to it, so I'm hoping I can replicate that. But yes, so I might at some point make a little knitted waistcoat, which I think would be really nice. And like, I do really like body warmer type jackets, especially for wearing around the house, because it kind of, you know, it keeps your core warm. So I thought that might be, and also a little bit of the Matt Mercer effect. I thought that might be fun. And then finally, and sort of most difficult to track down after the fact who I actually bought it from, is this really gorgeous, oh, that shows up really nicely on the camera, blue yarn. It's called Ocean. Now it's got Fruitful Fusion on the label, right? When I was looking at the map, the stall map, it said Resting Knit Face where I think I bought this, and Fruitful Fusion wasn't on the list. So I wonder if Fruitful Fusion was a sort of yarn collection that was at someone else's stall, if that makes sense. Like if someone had like a collections stall rather than their own stuff. So I'm not really sure. But Fruitful Fusion as their own thing is on Instagram. So but yeah, this is one of the most gorgeous, like on the surface of it, it's a flat color, but actually there's loads of gorgeous variants and loads of gorgeous little sort of deepenings and highlights in it. And I was looking out for something like this because, let me go and get the other one. So if you watched, oh, this has come undone. If you watched my video from the Blackpool Northwest Winter Wool show, it's not going to look quite as cute as it did, but you will have seen that I bought these two yarns, this one from the Woolchemist and this one from Attic Spin Dye, and the idea was to use it, in fact I've got the pattern here, the idea is to use both of them to make this Ripple Tide shawl from Angela Gardner. But as I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't know if these are going to knit up different enough, because they've both got that sort of brown in. One's sparkly, one's not, sure, and one's a bit lighter and one's a bit darker. But I think they're both so gorgeously variegated that I'm not sure that they'll contrast nicely in a project like this, which is so like, it gets a lot of its depth from that kind of the difference between the white and then the darker blue. So the new plan is to use the Woolchemist yarn because it's sparkly with this Fruitful Fusion Ocean. I mean, even just looking that on the camera, that looks pretty good. So that's the plan. I'm gonna instead use those two for the Ripple Tide, which means I've got this, which I don't really have a plan for. It is really nice, kind of like oceany, kind of rusty beach colours. It might just end up being socks. I wouldn't be mad about it, but yeah. If you've got any ideas for what this might knit up particularly nicely as, I'm all ears, because I no longer have a plan for that. So that was everything I bought. Now, honourable mentions for stalls, because there were so many that I was so close to buying stuff from. First of all, DT Craft and Design. They were the only stall there that had like yarn dyeing materials. And my friend was looking into dyeing a cardigan, and they were so incredibly helpful. Like, they were busy at this point, and the guy was so incredibly helpful with, well, this is the things that you're going to have to work. Like, it's trickier to do a made-up garment because it's more likely to like felt, and obviously it's bigger. But this is how you would counter that, and like this is why this material should go with this material, and you'll need this amount of everything. And at the end he was like, and yeah, if you get stuck, just call us. Which was so nice. And yeah, like dyeing is like spinning, in that I feel like it's a slippery slope, and I don't want to get into it while I'm still in quite a small space, because I want to be cautious about, I've got so much stuff to play with, and I want to be slightly cautious about getting into newer things that require a lot of extra things I don't have, because I think that's just a recipe for me feeling overwhelmed. But if I was going to get into it, I would definitely do one of their workshops, because even at the stall, even when it was really busy, they were just so nice and so helpful. I also liked the Knitting and Crochet Guild. They had some gorgeous pieces, first of all, but they also have a really cool looking journal, which looks like it's like a mix of like the history of stuff, patterns for things. So I'm going to look into that, because actually I think that would be a really cool resource, and that would be really interesting to sort of engage with. So, and then also Sheila Haldane, I hope I'm saying that correctly, had the most gorgeous sort of fabric collage landscape things. There were these ones that were like a sort of circle, that it was clearly like round something, almost like it was what's the word, like upholstered sort of round, something like the cover for like a disc. But just, I was absolutely obsessed with the different layers of it. It was so like intricate and evocative of kind of, yeah, I wanted to stand there for like an hour and just stare at her stuff. But we had more things to do, but I'm thinking about her stuff a lot. And then the rest of the honourable mentions, yarn shops I really loved and didn't buy anything from, and like a couple of them came so close to buying stuff and then just kind of put it down and walked away. Madrigal Yarns, who I've never seen before, had the most gorgeous colorways, like sort of rivaling the Walkemist, to be honest, in terms of just like richness and variety and just a really pleasing visual effect. So definitely next time I have a project plan, I would like to look into Madrigal Yarns, and I'm sort of saying that so that I can look this up later and remember that that's what I wanted to do, because yeah, their stuff was amazing. Mamie and Florrie had this gorgeous Manchester Nights yarn, which I very, very nearly bought in sock and mohair, because they had it the same like colorway in the two bases. So yeah, I really, really nearly bought those to sort of knit together or crochet together, but then I was like, I don't actually have a plan for this, and do I just like the way that it looks on the skein? Will I still like it when it's like knitted up or crocheted up? Because it's, what's the word? Blue. I'm sleepy. It was mostly blue, and like I do like a blue, but it's not one of my like standard colors. And yeah, I don't know, I just kind of ummed and ahed and overthought it and put this stuff down and walked away. But that's high on the list if I come up with a project for that. And then Noodle Soup, I remember really liking. I can't find the picture that I took in my phone for Noodle Soup specifically. If I find it after filming, it will be here somewhere. But their yarns are just really lovely, really fun, really nice colorways, and I was sort of very closely tempted by a couple of them. And then finally, UK Alpaca Yarns had some really, really nice bird-inspired yarns. The woodpecker was really good. The blue tip was very good. The bullfinch was spot on. Like that's exactly the color that a bullfinch is. I was really impressed by the sort of observation and the delivery of that colorway. So my partner did get a couple of those, but I don't have a plan, and I'm trying not to buy yarn without a plan, so I didn't get any. But again, will be high on the list if I want anything in that area. And I think that's everything. A slightly smaller haul than the Northwest Winter Wool Festival, but I think I'm very pleased with it. I got not quite as much yarn, but more patterns. and I think it's definitely shaping up for a busy year for crochet and knitting, but also like fun projects like the buttons, the embroidery from the year in embroidery, and like this kind of collage, fabric collage idea that I have for the Zelda jacket. Yeah, I feel like I've just got a month off from D&D prep for the campaign that I'm running, because the people that we play with are moving house. So we've paused for a hot second so they can like sort their lives out a little bit. But that gives me more time to really kind of bed down in some of these projects. So I'm very excited to get cracking and finish the year with hopefully less projects on the docket than I have currently, because there's quite a long list and some of them are quite ambitious, and many of them include things I have never done before. So we'll see what we get to, but I look forward to having you along for the ride. But yeah, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely pop along to TexStyle if they do it next year. I really hope they do it next year, because yeah, it was so good and everyone was really nice. But yeah, otherwise, take care and I'll see you on the next project.